Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DMV Business Show. Today I have a special guest, Doug Miller. Doug is the CEO of several companies, Core Nutritionals, Merica Labz, Merica Energy, and the Nutrition Corners. Doug is also a free bodybuilding two-time world champion. Thank you for coming on the show, Doug. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So as I was mentioning offline, I like to start off from the very, very beginning. Are you from around the area here, or where did you grow up?
No, I grew up outside of Philadelphia, a small town called Huntington Valley. Lived there till I was 18, and then I went to Penn State, so Central PA. And then right after school, I came down to the DC area for my first job, and that's really what has brought me to the area.
Okay. So you were just outside of Philly or just in Pennsylvania?
Just outside of Philadelphia,
Okay.
in Pennsylvania. It's a North Philly. It's called Huntington Valley, so a
Okay.
suburb outside of Philadelphia.
So you grew up there?
hmm
Okay. And as a child, how were you? Were you into sports? What were you into back then?
Yeah, I was extremely active, and that's kind of how I got into this bodybuilding journey, which eventually led to all these businesses that we have now. So um, I played baseball, I played soccer, I swam. I did them all at a very high competitive level. But the one thing that held me back from taking it to the next level and really pursuing this in college was my size. I was, 5'9" if I'm lucky. And, I was probably 130 pounds soaking wet when I graduated high school. So I had the skills, man, I can run forever. I just didn't have the size to play at the next level. So I got recruited at some other smaller schools to play soccer and swim. But instead I chose really to pursue academics. When I went off to school, I went to the Penn State Honors Program, and I decided to study biochemistry and economics in that program. So at that time, I was really looking to find an outlet for all the sports I used to play. And that's really kind of how I stumbled upon the gym.
Awesome. Well, back then what was your favorite sport? I know you mentioned soccer and swimming. Were those your top favorites or?
Yeah, I mean, probably soccer. I mean, I grew up playing baseball all through the little league, those little leagues, travel leagues, all that. So I
Yeah.
always have a love for baseball, but I probably would say soccer was probably my favorite. Swimming was probably the hardest for sure, just because of the amount of dedication before and after school, the amount of training you need to do to really perform at that level. It was intense. And so a lot of young kids get burnt out of swimming because of the practices are so grueling. And our practices were definitely grueling. So, yeah, I would probably say soccer.
What position did you play in soccer?
I was a midfielder, right
Oh, man.
midfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I played soccer growing up also. I grew up in DC and mostly just soccer and either mid or sometimes they would put me in D.
Yeah.
And actually, I have three little ones. And so later on this afternoon, we have a soccer practice to head to.
Yeah, I
So,
have football. So I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. And my 6-year-old is just, he's playing baseball right now, but he's just loves football. So we're doing
at
flag
three?
football at 6.
Oh, at
At
six.
6.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, at
Okay.
6.
Okay.
Um, so he's just kind of obsessed with football. I'm like, well, you want to try soccer? It's probably a lot safer than, going that route. It's just flag football now, but and he does have, you can see the raw talent in him. So it's really fun to watch.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you have the 3-year-old in anything or no?
Yeah, he just started T-ball, but he doesn't. I mean, he's a wild man. So like he likes to hit the ball, but then when he's out in the field, he's throwing the glove up in the air and picking daisies, and he's a little too young yet
Yeah.
for that. So probably another year until he's really into it.
Yeah, I have three boys. My oldest is 9. I have one turning 7 in 2 weeks, and then I have a 4-year-old.
Oh yeah,
And we wanted to put the 4-year-old. I have the two oldest, like they've done swimming and soccer and some basketball, and actually had the oldest one in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
yeah,
And I wanted to put my youngest one forward because he's the aggressive out of all of them. He's just all about it into soccer. But like you said, I think he's just too young. His focus is not there.
that's
And
exactly right.
yeah. It is just
And
like,
he's not really at a great coachable age yet. He's still at that rebellious age where if you tell him to do something, he'll do the exact opposite, just to piss you off.
yeah. Okay, so then you went to school, you stayed in school in Pennsylvania, you said, right?
Yeah, so I went to Penn State.
Okay, Penn State. And you didn't play any athletics, or you just focused on academics, you said?
No, I decided to kind of go all in on the academics part of it. And that's really why I got to the gym, because I was used to training year round, right? I played club sports and did all that stuff too, but just wasn't the same as the regimented training. And so I had a buddy who was already into lifting, kind of drug me to the gym, and I got pretty much hooked instantly. I gained 30 pounds the summer between my freshman year and sophomore year. I gained about 30 pounds of muscle.
Wow.
And so I was like instantly hooked.
Okay. And you said you were studying econ and biochemistry?
Yeah. So
Okay.
my main degree was biochemistry and molecular biology. And then I decided to do my honors thesis work in economics.
Okay.
Just because at one point I thought maybe I wanted to be a doctor, but I do not like blood. I found out. And then also I didn't want to go pursue a PhD. I had a couple professors really try to push me to go get a PhD in organic chemistry and some other fields, but I didn't want to be in a lab for the rest of my life, right? Like it's another 4 years for a PhD, and then you're doing lab work, postdoc work, and it's just like, I didn't want to go that route. It was super interesting. I was probably way more trained on the biochemistry and science aspect than I was the economics aspect, but I ended up writing my honors thesis in economics, and that kind of brought me to my job when I graduated school.
What made you to go into biochemistry? I'm curious back then.
I was a math science guy. I hated
Okay.
language arts and history.
Okay.
I just had my dad was a math teacher, and I just had this natural ability for high level math and physics and chemistry, and I just really enjoyed it. And I had no interest in studying history, or I didn't really love to write at all. So I was just more inclined to that, and it sounded super interesting. It was that BMB is what it's called, biochemistry and molecular biology at Penn State, is a great program, and it focuses a lot on like genetics and all that stuff. So this is 20 years ago. We've learned a lot since then, but it's really cutting edge stuff, and it was just interesting to me.
Did you have an idea when in school as far as what you were thinking back then to head with your career, or?
That's why I threw economics on as a double major.
Okay.
Really, when I realized I didn't want to be a doctor, when I realized, I didn't want to spend the next 4 years pursuing a PhD, 4 to 8 years pursuing a PhD, I looked at your typical high-paying, high-performance jobs, investment banking, consulting, things like that. And that led me to consulting, really. I was looking for management consulting firms, and actually the firm I ended up going with is a DC firm. It was a startup firm at the time, and now I think it was rated like one of the best places to work in really the entire country. It's called Bates White.
Okay.
They're an economic litigation consulting firm, and I actually started there when I was the summer between my junior and senior year. The head of the econ department at Penn State had an affiliation with some of the partners that started the firm, and so I got did an interview, got a job. I was like the first intern with the company. So the company had, less than 20 people at the time. Worked there that summer, and they gave me a job offer that fall of my senior year. So senior year was great. I already had, a job offer ready to go. And so I started working literally like the week after graduation in May of 2001 at Bates White down in DC doing economic litigation consulting. And I did that for about 13 years before going all in on the business side of it.
Wow, you were there for a long time, 13 years.
Yeah.
So you said economics, litigation consulting?
Yeah. So I worked a lot in the price fixing or antitrust portion of the firm. They do a lot of different things. You know, they do bankruptcies, they do mergers, they do anything that needs economic analysis or econometric analysis to determine damages or, you know, anything of that nature is what we would do as consultants. And so I worked a lot in the price fixing department, which basically we would come in and we'd be hired by the plaintiffs or the defendants to figure out, okay, there was some illegal conspiracy to fix the prices of, let's say, vitamins, because that was actually really happened. And that was the first case I worked on. And, you know, so we came in and looked at all the data, looked at all the things going on in the market. And our job was to figure out what was the price supposed to be, or what the price would have been, but for the conspiracy. So if you remove the conspiracy and you took into effect all the supply and demand factors of certain vitamins, what would those prices have been? And doing that, you can figure out what the damages should have been for the people that were harmed by this. It was really interesting stuff. It was a lot for me. I focused more on the data analytics side of it. So I did a lot of programming and data cleaning and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it was a great job, and it was really hard to leave because I had, you know, it was a great paying job. I was one of the youngest managers, you know, there. I had a lot of people working under me, you know, great benefits, all of that. And I really liked the people I worked with. You know, they were super intelligent. They were all, most of them were PhDs. Most of the people there are PhDs. A lot of the consultants are not, but many of them are PhDs, really smart people. And so on the side, I was working like 80 hours a week doing that. And then on the side, I was building my own businesses.
Okay.
So in my 20s and early 30s, I mean, I'm no stranger to working 100+ hours a week. That's for sure.
But that's before family, before children.
100%.
Okay.
That's why we waited until we were like 35 to have kids.
So when you started with that company, Doug, you said employee number 20 or so, and 13 years later, how many? You said there was a lot of growth.
They probably are. If I had to guess, they have to be over 200 at this point.
Okay.
Easily. They're a phenomenal firm. I mean, like, I saw them. It was really cool to be a part, because like I helped single-handedly had a role in shaping how that firm develops. Like, we were the ones who set up the interview questions. We were the ones who wrote the training manuals. Now I'm sure they've evolved through the years, but it was really fun to have that opportunity to really kind of, you know, lay the groundwork for the future of that company. So it was a great job. It's just, it wasn't my passion. You know, it just really wasn't. I enjoyed some of the things I did, but I couldn't get excited about it like, you know, some of my coworkers.
Sure. So once you're in there in that company, when is it immediately the first year you start sort of thinking about this passion you have, the side project, or how many years into that did you start?
So I started working there in 2001.
Okay.
And the first business that I started was in 2004.
Okay.
Late 2004, we brought our first product to market in 2005. And that was Core Nutritionals. So at the time, I was a young bodybuilder, natural bodybuilder, drug-free bodybuilder, working for a company that was very demanding. So, you know, I made sure to go to the gym regardless, but like the eating sometimes became difficult. So I was using like meal replacement packets. Like back in those days, it was like those old school EAS Myoplex packets. But the problem was they were lower quality. They were like a really fast acting insulin spiking carbohydrate. They used kind of like filler proteins. They just weren't that high of quality. And so I was like, man, we can do this and we can do it better. Like, there's got to be a better solution. So after researching, you know, at the time when I first started, I actually had a business partner, which I bought out after 2 years. We decided to bring out a meal replacement that was based on slow digesting carbohydrates, oat and barley flour, a better blend of protein, something that tastes great, but had better macronutrients. And, you know, I wanted to be fully transparent about everything we do, because at that time, back in 2004, the supplement industry was very shady. Everyone had a proprietary blend. And what that is basically, you know, you say, you know, take a fat burner, for instance. You could say there's 1,000 milligrams of stuff in here, but they don't tell you how much of each of the individual ingredients, and they just pixie dust the expensive ingredients to say that they're in there, but they're not at clinical doses, and they throw a bunch of caffeine in there. So we were really some of the first in the sports nutrition arena to found our company on full disclosure, non-proprietary blends, no fillers, all efficacious doses. So ingredients used in the right amounts that elicit the response that the marketing tells you they should elicit, not just to keep the cost of the product low. At the end of the day, I would tell people I'm creating this product around what I want to use. If you want to use them too, great. And that's why the business was really kind of just a hobby for the first, I reinvested every penny because I had a good paying job. I didn't need the money. I reinvested every penny for the first 7 years of that business.
Oh, wow.
And so I never took anything out of it during that time. And that helped us grow tremendously, adding new products every year and just reinvesting back into the business.
Now, how does one go about even the first product you mentioned? It sounds like there's a lot of details involved. Did you have to bring other groups and parties to help you formulate everything?
Yeah, so I'm not like mixing up protein in my bathtub, right? There's very high, strict levels of good manufacturing processes and audits, FDA audits, and all of these things that multi-million-dollar large manufacturers do. So we contract with a contract manufacturer to run our product that we design. We work with them to go back and forth to get the flavoring and consistency and ingredients and all that right, just how we want it. And then we contract them to manufacture.
Okay.
And so, man, I mean, the barriers to entry in the supplement industry are very low. I mean, you could start a company really honestly for, if you had 10,000, we started with 20,000 bucks, right? And like, you could do that. I don't recommend it because we did in the beginning a lot of things wrong. And we certainly weren't fully compliant. When we first started, we didn't even have insurance, right? Like we just were like, we weren't doing all of the things that we have to do now and that we demand now. So really you need much more money than that to start a legitimate dietary supplement business. But we kind of, I didn't really have a mentor in the space. We kind of learned as we went. And so over the past 15, 16 years, I've just come across the right people and have learned by making mistakes too throughout that time.
So in the beginning, you said the first 7 years, everything you made, even with your full-time job, you just put back into the company.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, obviously I have bills, right? Like,
well,
so
yeah, besides, yes.
a condo, a house, like I had to pay for that stuff. But every penny that the company made got reinvested. I never took a distribution from the company. I never paid myself a salary.
Okay.
So it was all, and it was me doing everything, like literally.
For the first 7 years or how?
Just about.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a graphic designer, so I
Sure.
would contract certain people to do certain things for me. But for the most part, it was me doing everything.
How were those first couple of years with the business?
Because when I first started, I really thought it was kind of just a little bit of an afterthought. I was very passionate about it, but I wasn't really super concerned with numbers and growth and all of that, because at the end of the day, I really enjoyed what I was doing, right?
Okay.
Like it was just fun. And then when the money started to become real, then it became really fun. And then when the money became very real, it almost takes some of the fun out of it because it becomes stressful. The more money, more problems, right?
Yeah.
You have a ton of employees, you got all these expenses. It becomes more difficult. So, I mean, it was, the first 5 years, I mean, it really was literally a hobby, and the brand didn't really take off until I became well known in the kind of the natural bodybuilding world. And then the brand still, I mean, it was really growing as I became successful in bodybuilding, but it didn't really take off until I kind of took that leap of faith and left what I call them the golden handcuffs of a great corporate job and kind of went all in on the dietary supplement realm.
During those first couple of years, Doug, first, let's say 5-7 years, as far as the sales, was it mostly just you with buddies here and there? Hey, guys, try this out. Or like you said, I'm sure you're probably winning competitions, right? Or
yeah, so we did that. went to bodybuilding shows and set up
Okay.
booths and stuff. My wife and I did it. At the time, a friend of mine owned a supplement shop up in New England, and he was actually managing the distribution for me. So he sold a lot of it through his store, but he'd also, luckily at the time, I sent out some cold call emails, and I got in with some rather large company, like bodybuilding.com picked me up 15 years ago when we first launched.
Oh,
It's a lot more difficult now to get into bodybuilding.com than it was 15 years ago. I just had to know the right person to email, and they gave me a shot, and we've been with them ever since. And like DPS Nutrition and some of these larger sites, we got in very early on. And to this day, we maintain that relationship. So we were lucky enough to do that. And then just brick and mortar, word of mouth, just started to grow kind of organically. There wasn't paid Facebook advertising and all that stuff. I mean, social media really didn't even exist in the very beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just kind of very organic.
And this is for the Core Nutritionals we're talking about, right?
Yeah, so that was Core Nutritionals. So Core Nutritionals started in 2005, and it was based and founded on those principles that I talked about. Efficacious doses, no proprietary blends, just really well thought out formulas, no fillers, just really high-end products. The other businesses came later on. So I opened up one retail store because just like before, when I started Core, I wasn't happy with the supplements that were on the market at the time. At the same time, I wasn't happy with the retail experience in the dietary supplement industry. So in 2000, and we're coming up on 10 years here, so 2009 almost, we opened Arlington Nutrition Corner. That was the first store. I actually lived one block away, so it was really easy. Okay. Across from the Gold's Gym on Wilson Boulevard. You probably know the area. So I opened that because, there was a lot of GNCs that were run or managed by very uneducated people at the time. And it drove me crazy. And there was, they didn't carry all the brands, all the unique brands that they could carry. So we founded the Nutrition Corners on kind of the idea of best brands, best prices. We priced every day at wholesale. We didn't have to have a gold card to get the best price. We just priced great. And best knowledge. Like we had great knowledge, great staff to help people reach their goals, not just sell them hopes and dreams in a bottle. And so the first store opened in 2009 or 2010, man. It's been a while. So I believe it was the fall of 2010. I think we're on 10 years now. So fall of 2010 we opened because my lease just renewed. And we didn't open the second store until I left my job in summer of 2013. So we had Arlington Nutrition Corner where we sold a ton of Core through, and that store actually really helped Core grow in this area, the DC area. A lot of people were introduced through that store. And then we opened our second store when I quit my job in 2013 in Newport News. And then we kind of grew from there. We have 9 going on 10 stores now in the Virginia area for the Nutrition Corners.
Awesome. Now, before you started opening the Nutrition Corner, was there an inflection point with Core as far as you deciding, I think this is the time to leave the golden handcuff? I can see it.
Yeah, I had in my spreadsheets in my mind, I knew numbers that we had to be hitting on a monthly basis to make me feel comfortable of leaving my job. And I kind of threw out numbers, and then we hit those numbers, and then I would throw out higher numbers. Then we hit those numbers. I was really,
it was hard to leave.
I had the golden handcuffs. It was still really hard. And then finally, I actually think the kicker was my wife was pregnant. At the same time. So I quit like a month after we found out that she was pregnant. So I was like, I did not want to be a father in the rat race. And so some people might look at that as being like irresponsible, like I'm about to be a father and I quit my secure, great paying job, right? Like that's kind of crazy. But to me, it was the other way around. Like I would much rather trade a great paying job for the opportunity to run my own businesses, be successful that way, but also to have my own freedom and time to be with those kids as I raise them.
Yeah. So then this is around 2014, 13.
Yeah. Summer 2013, July 2013, I left my full-time job.
And then you go full force with Core and the stores. And then by then you had 2 of them, right? Or just you were
so
opening?
We had 2 in that fall. So in 2013, we opened the second store. And then 2015, we opened the third store. Then 2016, we opened 4 stores that year. We were on a rocket ship. Now we've opened, in total, we've opened 11. So 11 stores. We closed 2 of them. We kind of like opened and closed stores at the same time. We went into Bethesda, which we thought was going to be great. It was terrible to go into Maryland. So we, like, within a year, just decided to cut our losses and leave. And
why Maryland? Why do you say that? What happened with Bethesda?
So it's funny, in the retail supplement industry, and this is what we've learned a lot through the years. So Bethesda has like literally one of the highest household incomes in the country.
Yes.
In Bethesda. We got a place on Wisconsin Avenue, a great location. Parking was terrible.
Yes.
Good rent, good terms, but the parking was difficult. But to be honest with you, we found, I might insult a lot of people of your listeners.
No, it's okay. Be frank.
We found a lot of people were very snooty in Bethesda. I don't know what better term to say that.
Okay.
They were kind of like, they weren't our people. Our people are more blue collar, hardworking. I'm not saying they're not hardworking, but military people or police and fire people, or just not high-end doctor, lawyer, which make all the money, that could easily afford all the supplements.
Sure.
They're like, at the end of the day, the nutrition corners are a great space. And in fact, we have almost just as many women coming there as men, but we have people that are really passionate about fitness. And even people that are not passionate, but that want to make a lifestyle change, we're the place for them, right? Mm-hmm. We were getting a lot of people that already thought they knew it all. That's what I mean by snooty.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And so they would come there and they'd put their nose in the air and, they're like, oh, this is just a bodybuilding store, like stuff like that.
Okay.
Which is completely not the case. And so they just were very closed-minded. And so it was very hard for us to open up and to reach that community, to educate them the way that we can. And so, the store was by far our lowest performing store. We immediately opened a store with 1/4 the rent. We relocated basically and opened our third store in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Within the first month, it was doing more than the Bethesda store did in the 10 months that it was open.
Wow.
And our costs were just a fraction, right?
Sure.
So we have found that looking at income, which, I mean, you're a real estate guy, you would know this, like for businesses, you're going to look at the average household income, the population around the area. Our demographics for our retail stores are almost inverse of what you would think, right? So we really look for, I know this is going to sound weird, but almost like a lower income neighborhoods. Not low income neighborhoods, but lower. We don't need Fairfax, Loudoun, Bethesda high-end real estate income. Now we have successful stores in Arlington and Fairfax and Dulles and all that. And sometimes it does help. But for the most part, our highest performing and most profitable stores are in lower income, not low income, but lower income areas. And that's stuff that we have found. And so when we're going to open new stores, a lot of what we look for is we look for a military presence. We look for obviously rental rates, but how much population is immediately around our store, and the income. But we don't look at the income as a normal person would look at income. So we've learned a lot.
I agree, but Bethesda may not have been your crowd. Have you thought about, Doug, maybe closer to the Baltimore area before you get to Baltimore, that 95 corridor?
I'm moving to North Carolina.
Oh, you are? Okay.
So our next expansion will be south.
Okay. Where in North Carolina are you going to?
Iredell County, just north of Charlotte.
Okay. Okay. Why the move?
We can get into that too. It's also
Okay.
related to real estate.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So going back to kind of connect the dots and the stories and the businesses that we have. So, and then I'll get to where we are today and why we're moving. So we opened all those stores. We have 9 stores now. We're about to open our 10th in Chesapeake, Virginia. So we got 3 in Virginia Beach. We have 1 in Newport News. We have 1 in Richmond. We got 1 in Manassas, 1 in Dulles, 1 in Arlington, 1 in Fairfax. And we're about to open 1 in Chesapeake, which is down in the Virginia Beach area. So that will be our 10th store. And in the supplement side of things, so Core is not the only brand we have. We just went through a massive rebrand this year, and it's been amazing for us. And we were really lucky to do it actually in the year of COVID. It's really been great for us, and we've built a great community for the Core brand. But we do have other brands. And so the story behind Merica Labz, and that's not America, it's Merica, is basically we would have people come into our retail stores and they would look at let's take a pre-workout, for example, and they might see some crazy pre-workout. It's got a skull with snakes coming out of its eyes and it looks great. And if they didn't want to be engaged with our staff as they were trained to engage with somebody, they're just like, no, I'm fine, and kept pushing away. They would go ahead and buy this based on the label and the craziness of the label, but they'd be disappointed because at the end of the day, it might have a proprietary blend. What I don't like at Core, but like we carry other brands than just our brands at our store. We have like 100 brands, right? So there are some people that still use proprietary blends, although most of the industry has changed. And they were just loaded down with caffeine. So they would come in and buy it once for the maybe visual experience of the bottle, but they would never buy it again because the physical experience of the product was terrible. So in 2016, we thought, man, we can do a marketing heavy driven brand that's going to appeal to you either positively or negatively, but get you to take notice and really make you buy the product, maybe because of the label. But you're going to keep coming back because we wanted to stick to the same core principles, no pun intended, as Core Nutritionals. So the like crazy dose products, just really phenomenal formulas, no proprietary blend, great stuff. So in 2016, we launched Merica Labz, and it was a great timing because this was right through the time period when, it was Trump and Hillary, and it was, it was coming out of this time where there was divisiveness, not like it is today, but pretty close. And whether you loved it or you hated it, Merica Labz quickly became one of the most engaged with supplement brands on social media. And the idea is we're not a political brand. We're not a right brand. Some people think just because, I'll get into this in a second, but our energy drinks are very patriotic. All the branding is overly patriotic. People think we're a right brand, but we're really not. We're not left or right. And in fact, we're a satirical patriotic brand, meaning if you are on the left, you should be able to appreciate our satiric nature of patriotism. It's just what we do in our marketing. If you're on the right, you're going to cling to the uber patriotism that we display. So in theory, we bring something for everyone. We have names of products like our peach flavor is called impeachment. Our grape flavor is called Let's Make America Grape Again. So we have something for everyone. We don't take sides in that sense. We're just more of a patriotic brand. The brand, the pre-workout Red, White, and Boom quickly became viral. That brand grew rapidly. It's sold across the world now. We have relationships in China. We have relationships in Australia, UK, all over the place. And we're actually going through a bit of a rebrand with that company now that we've gotten through the Core. We're just repositioning certain things. But so that brand kind of took off it launched in January 2017. So we've been going for about 4 years now. And then at the time we were just big drinkers of Monster energy drinks. This is before the energy drink game, it just kind of blew wide open and everyone's doing an energy drink. Well, I was like, man, we can do an energy drink. We can do it better. And then you slap on our uber patriotism. Who's not going to love a cold Merica Energy at a NASCAR race, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we went with that. It took us about a year to bring it to market. And in Memorial Day 2018, we launched Merica Energy. That's what I'm actually drinking now. And again, we're going through a slight rebrand with this, and we're relaunching in 2021. And the drink took off. We really focus on, again, we have a non-proprietary blend in here, but our specialty is the how it appeals to the consumer's eye, and also the taste of this. We've worked so hard on the taste. We've gone like full out on the taste. Like everyone just loves the taste of these energy drinks. I really think, and they've been voted the best energy drink on the market by some industry sources. So in terms of taste, so that was kind of like our third business. And then in 2019, I launched another business where I'm the majority owner, but partners with two other people. One of those people being Julian Smith, who is a massive Instagram influencer. So we launched another brand called Arms Race Nutrition, which is, again, sticking to the same principles of our other brands, but it's a digital first kind of influencer driven brand through Julian. It's very vertically integrated with his personal brand. He's an online trainer. He's got a great following. And we launched direct to consumer in June of 2019. The day after we launched, we signed a deal with GNC, and we were the largest opening order PO with GNC for a new brand ever. They loved everything about the story behind the brand and what we did. So we signed an exclusivity with GNC for that brand. So you can get it in our stores because I made sure of that in the contract. Okay. You can buy it in my stores. You can buy it direct on the Arms Race website. The only other place you can get it is GNC, whereas all our other brands are sold all over the world right now. And I know GNC just went through a bankruptcy, so it's still an interesting time, but our relationship with GNC is still great, and they're going to emerge from the bankruptcy in a much better position. So
this brand, Doug, just in 2019, right, came out, and how was the turnout?
Amazing.
Okay.
So Merica Labz launched in 2017. We did more in the first year than I did in like the first 7 years of Core Nutritionals. We did more in like the first 6 months of Arms Race than we did in the first 2 years of Merica. So like,
wow, each time it's just getting better and better.
I mean, we know so much more now. It's not like we're trying to figure this out. We know how to do this. We know how to build brands.
You mentioned I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's always learning curves, and we're learning stuff all the time, and we make mistakes and stuff, but for the most part, it's quite remarkable how small of again, no pun intended here, core team that we have that run 4 international brands. Yes, we have a lot of people in the stores, and we have a decent amount of people, warehouse workers, in the warehouse, but the core team that operate the day-to-day logistics and sales and customer service and marketing is remarkably quite small.
How big is your team now that you're mentioning that? I know team is a huge thing. It's very important.
I mean, across the stores and all that, I mean, the stores probably have, 30 people, but here, so we have in our HQ here in Sterling, I have myself, director of operations, director of sales, director of customer service. Then we have warehouse employees, a handful of those. My full-time graphic design is remote. My 2 full-time marketing guys are remote. And my full-time web guy is remote.
Okay.
So that's it, really, to run all of these.
So really the core is less than 10 people, and a couple of them are just remote, but they're full-time with you though, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Plus warehouse. Okay.
Yep.
You mentioned in 2021, next year, you're going through a rebranding for Merica brand. Are you thinking of what, name change or just?
We've learned a lot through the Core Nutritionals rebrand in 2020.
Okay.
As you can see on like this, we have funny like cartoons. This is of a Liberty flavor energy drink. we usually put dead presidents on our labels.
Okay.
And we just want to take a little bit of a different approach. We want to take almost more like a small batch approach. We don't want all the labels to look the same. So we're doing like more limited release runs with a completely different look every time we drop a product. So they're not all going to look just red, white, and blue like this. We're going to get rid of some of the cartoonish nature of it, because at the end of the day, that's really funny shtick, especially some of the videos we do and stuff like that. But people might see that and think, oh, this is a lower quality product because of that, when it's quite the opposite. So we're also going to do some new artwork type stuff, like flattening some of the images, which is a trend that's happening now. It's kind of hard to explain, but like we're flattening some of the images. We're taking more of a simplistic yet clean approach, still staying uber patriotic, and just doing a lot of more limited release type of stuff.
Okay. So the name's not going to change then?
Oh, no.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
So like, for example, we're doing our pre-workouts coming out. We're doing Red, White, and Boom, but we're calling it the A-Bomb edition. And then we're doing the Red, White, and Boom. Their next pre-workout is called the Napalm edition, which is more of a fat-burning pre-workout. And we're coming out with a natural anabolic product, performance enhancer called Full Metal Jacket. It's got a really cool kind of military-esque label to it. So, but every label, every product is going to look slightly different. And we're going to run them originally on a limited basis and just like one large run and sell them out and then move on. But the ones that are super popular, we're going to have stick around.
Okay.
And so we're going to be doing a lot of that. It's just kind of a little bit of a different approach. Like all three of the brands at their core, again, no pun intended, at their core stick to the same principles, but they all have different distribution channels. Like Core has a massive direct-to-consumer business, whereas Merica Labz has a massive wholesale business. And so COVID, Merica Labz was way more affected by COVID because wholesale died way more than direct-to-consumer. So that's why Merica needs a little bit of a rebrand.
Okay. So all this growth with all three core companies is leading you to move to North Carolina?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're here in Sterling, Ashburn area. In fact, we just moved from Ashburn about a year ago to Sterling because we needed more space. So we're in about 24,000 square feet now. And I stole this place. It's a beautiful office. I stole this place on a sublease.
Okay.
Because it was a 10-year sublease and they had like 22 months or 24 months left and we needed the space. So I was lucky to steal it. The market rate for this place that I'm in right now is probably, well, they just sent me like a re-up.
Sure.
I think it came out to like $31,000 a month,
Okay.
I want to say. So not cheap.
Yeah.
We're an international supplement brand that's distributed around the world. I don't need to be here. I could be anywhere in the world, really. Anywhere in the US, let's say that.
Yeah.
And so I put it to my team. I put it to my wife. I put it to everyone involved. Where do you guys want to be? And I was like, I prayed about it. I was like, we need something to tell us where to go, because right here where we're at, all my neighbors Tesla, my neighbors data center this, data center that. Like, why are we distributing supplements here? It doesn't make sense. So I thought about Texas. You look for places where the taxes are better, right? Texas, Tennessee, Florida. I don't really want to be in Florida. Don't really want to move to Texas. So an opportunity came up where one of our largest manufacturers is about an hour north of Charlotte, and I have a great relationship with them. We've been doing a ton of business with them, and they were outgrowing their space, partly because of what we've been doing with them. So a whole shopping center came up, basically. It was an old Kmart, an old billiards hall. It was a billiards hall. It was about 100,000 plus square feet in Statesville, North Carolina, which is about an hour north of Charlotte. And it was vacant for a long time. And basically, because of my relationship with them, we're like, kind of like, let's buy this together type of thing. And so we're buying 14 acres. We actually close next week. The process like the drawings are already done. So basically they're getting like about a 50 to 60,000 square foot old Kmart. I'm getting about a 32,000 square foot old, we don't even know what it was.
Sure.
And we're completely gutting it. So I'm paying X for it, and I'm paying 4X to renovate it, to redo the whole thing.
Okay.
So I'm getting about 4 acres of land and about 32,000 square feet. 7 of that 1,000 I'm actually going to turn into a gym. So we've already put a gym in here. That's our passion at the end of the day. So we're creating Crush It Coliseum, which is going to be another business. At the end of the day, we do it for marketing. But we are going to, it got rezoned so that when we go to North Carolina, we'll have our, I guess, global headquarters. And then right next to it, there'll be about a 7,000 square foot, really kind of just custom, awesome gym, right? Like where you're really, people that are passionate about training and fitness are going to go. And so we're going to open that to the public. It's going to be like a key tag where you can go in 24/7. And then we'll have our warehouse side where we'll be able to, we're estimating about 1,000 pallets we'll be able to store in our facility. And we'll have about 4,000 or 5,000 square feet of office space, really nice media rooms and conference rooms and all the stuff that we need to kind of do our job and market what we're doing. So demolition starts at the end of this month. If all things go well, we're moving, hopefully in the May time period. I have to be out of here May 31st. So there's a lot to be done in that time period. So I've already had employees buy houses down in like Mooresville area. So we're not going to live in Statesville. We're going to live probably half an hour south of that in the Mooresville area, right on like Lake Norman, which is half hour north of Charlotte. And my mortgage of the building and property that we will own will be less than half of what I'm paying here.
Yeah.
So the equivalent up here, because I looked at it, I went down the route, is $5 to $7 million. Down there, it's going to cost me 2 to 2.5. So I still struggled with that. I have a great connection to the DMV area. I really like our neighborhood. We live in Vienna. My kids have a ton of friends. We have a lot of friends. I've been here in this area for 20 years. I have a great church, like all of these things. And it was really hard for me to disconnect from all of that. But when I tell people that literally I'm going to be saving X amount a month, just that I'm throwing away here, it's really kind of a no-brainer. Yeah. And we're up for that. Like my wife's kind of like a ride or die. Like she likes the change and like she likes to, she'll go wherever, right? So she's excited about it. The kids are excited about it. It's a little bit of a different way of life in North Carolina, which my wife's from Southern Virginia. And, you know, I grew up, did a lot in Central PA, which is very similar to Southern Virginia. It's a lot different than Northern Virginia. So we're looking forward to a little bit different pace and different lifestyle. I'd like to live on the lake. I think that would be pretty awesome, but all that's kind of TBD. So yeah, it's a massive change, and I have just amazing employees that my key staff, the people that I need to make this operation work, they were gung-ho about moving. They were probably more excited about moving than I was. They kind of want to get out of Northern Virginia. Sorry to all your listeners again.
Hey, you have to go chase opportunity. If it's elsewhere, it is elsewhere. It sounds like you're getting a great deal.
Yeah, I mean, not only that wasn't of course we're going to save a ton of money, but on top of that, it's the opportunity to be next door. I mean, literally I could throw a stone and it'll hit the building of our manufacturer. So how fast we can crank out new products, new brands, even how much I can be involved instead of sending samples by mail back and forth when we're getting flavoring and all this stuff right. I can go over there, sit in the flavor house room, knock out flavor in one day as opposed to weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
You're next door.
We can film, we can bring our media team and our videographer can be there videoing and getting content of every product that we run being manufactured and have more of that content available for people to see on social media. We can be more involved in the quality control aspect of this. So that is what made it a no-brainer. right? Like, is having that opportunity. Now, we use multiple manufacturers. We have probably 4 different manufacturers we use, but this one has over half of our business. And I'm sure they'll have even more once we move.
Doug, what would you say drives you or motivates you to continue to improve and grow?
I don't really have an answer for that. You know, so I've won the world championship in natural bodybuilding, pro natural bodybuilding.
Twice,
I
right?
don't have the best genetics. The genetics that I have has had been this like burning desire to be the best. Like when I went to Penn State, I was not the smartest kid. I graduated #1 in my class at Penn State. I had a 4.0 with dual degrees and was the valedictorian of the entire class at Penn State of tens of thousands of people. And that's because I have this burning desire to be the best at whatever we do. And I don't want to be mediocre. I don't just want to be. And so like I'm constantly, it's a blessing and it's a curse because I am extremely hard on those around me, not intentionally, but a lot of people will read how hard I am on myself into what I expect of other people, which are 2 totally different things, right? Like I do not expect I expect more of myself than anyone, right? But that's not how other people can interpret it. So I have just this, it's probably like I said, one of my best and one of my worst traits is this, like, I'm extremely hard on myself. I don't like mediocrity. I want to be the best at what we do. And so that really strives me. Like I love looking at the numbers every month, but it's not because of money. Like I'm not like, the money doesn't matter. Once you get to a certain point and you have a house, you're paying your mortgage, you have a car, your car's paid off, you're saving a little every month, you're putting away for your kids' college education. Like more on top of that, to me, that doesn't motivate me. It's not the money. It's more kind of chasing the number and the growth of the company and how many people we can impact and how many people become a part of the community that we've started. We've created this crush it lifestyle, and that's our trademark slogan for Core, and our Core clothing that we sell is crush it. And it's giving it your all in everything you do. So, you know, I get motivated by seeing how many people can be, you know, affected or impacted in a positive way by all the stuff that we're doing. And so that kind of like motivates me to see how big we can get it. It's certainly not the money. The money is a good, you know, byproduct, side effect. I don't know what you want to call it. But like I said earlier, more money, more problems. There's more money, there's more responsibility, right? The more money you make, the harder you fall when COVID hits, right? Like these massive companies, if you have huge expenses, you're going to get hit harder than other companies. Now, we've always been smart and kept it lean so that we can survive crazy things like COVID, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, there's no one thing. It's just kind of like this internal drive that I have to be the best.
Now you have 3 core businesses, and I'm sure there's more to follow down the road. What would you say thus far in your business career you're most proud of? Plus the championships you've won as well. So I mean, there's a ton under your belt, Doug. So
yeah, honestly, I'm most proud of, like I said before, the culture that we're building and kind of that following, that community that we're building. Not only from a customer level, that really, we have some fanatical customers that just ride or die by Core Nutritionals or Merica Labz or whatever. But also the staff here and the family that we have created in that culture. I'm super proud of that. Like, people know us in the industry as the good guys, right? Like, we do things ethically, we do things right, we treat people right, we do what is right. And in an industry that is often shrouded by, you know, less, I'm trying to be very picky with my words here because, you know, there's, you know, a lot of those people I deal with as well, like, a lot of disingenuous people, right? That's not who we are. We are, we are very transparent. We wear our heart on our sleeves. You know what we're thinking. We're not going to pull games with people. We treat our customers and our vendors well. And, I'm really proud of that as being part of the good guys, right? Like that is what really kind of excites me. And that goes to leaving a great legacy, right? Leaving a great legacy. If I was hit by a bus today or 5 years from now or whatever, a lot of people's lives would be better because of these businesses that we have, created.
If someone wanted to come to you, they want to decide whatever business, whether it's in your space or a different type of space, what advice would you give that person?
So you have to be passionate about it, right? You really have to be passionate about it. If you're getting into a business because you want to own a business and you like the idea of running your own schedule or just being a business owner, you're going to fail. You have to be fanatically passionate about the business that you're running. That is just, there's no question about it. Like, if you're going to be successful, you can fake it till you make it type of thing, but that just doesn't cut it. People see through that. You have to be, authentic about it. And then you also really need to be realistic with like what you're trying to achieve, right? Like, they say dream big, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. You can't do everything if you put your mind to it. Like, you might love basketball, but you might be 5'9" and 130 pounds. You're not going to play in the NBA. There's no question about it, right? You might not be able to jump. You might be, fanatical about basketball, but that doesn't mean you pursue it. So it's kind of like, where do you have skills and where do your passions align should be driving you to where the business is or what business you should start. And then really, and this is a little bit do as I say, not as I do. I've talked to a lot of young entrepreneurs, and my joke is my employees tell me, you love getting people to quit their job. And I actually do, right? Because for me, I wish I had somebody to nudge me out the door sooner than 13 years. Because now I don't regret anything because it gave me the means to do what I'm doing today. But if I was able to go in 3-5 years earlier, I think we could be even further along today. Maybe not. Maybe everything happened the way it did for a reason. But so I tell people, like, if you're really passionate about this and you do have the skills or the potential skills to do well at that business, you need to go all in. You can't just dip your foot in. It's gonna, you can. I guess at the end of the day, I did. But I think I didn't take a paycheck for the first 7 years. So, like, for most people, that's not realistic. You really got to go all in. And if you do that, if you have all of those things, people are attracted to passion, right? They're just attracted to it. So, like, if you can exude that passion and get a good team on board with that passion and vision, that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, that's great. Well, what does the future look? What's the vision the next 3 to 5 years?
Continue to take over the world. No, I don't know. All our brands right now are on great growth trajectories. So I think just keeping our foot on the gas. There are some other projects that we've already have, starting a separate clothing line with another, like down the line, maybe another supplement brand, with a different spin, with a different audience, with a different take on some of our same core principles. That's a possibility. But continuing to really build the communities around these brands that we've created. So, who knows what's going to happen in 3 to 5 years. It's kind of crazy even to think, like, if I look back, it wasn't too long ago that we were fulfilling the stuff out of my friend's basement in New England. Right now, we're busting at the seams. Like, we need places to store 1,000 pallets. And so who knows, like, we're building this HQ, beautiful HQ, hopefully to be our home for the next X amount of years. But I just have this underlying suspicion that we're going to put all this into this building and build a beautiful building. And then 3 years from now, we're going to be like, well, crap, we got to move. Or we need more space, right? Or something like that, which we have contingencies in place for that. We have land we can build on and stuff. But yeah, so sky's the limit. I mean, myself and the team around me are all super passionate about what we do. I think the industry has recognized that, and we have a lot of other projects within the dietary supplement world, such as functional foods and other things that we have launching in the near future. So, you know, we're going to just keep it on, you know, like we have a lot of stuff still to do in this industry.
And lastly, Doug, what do you like to do on your free time for fun?
Play with my kids. I mean,
Okay.
To be honest with you, I mean, there's not much quote unquote free time. I mean, and I'm not complaining one bit, right? Like my free time is work. Like I'm constantly looking at competitors' products, researching new ingredients, look at other people's ad sets on Facebook, or I don't know, anything like that stuff interests me, right? Like stay up to date on that stuff. You know, and I love training myself, right? Like, so that my workouts, my training is part of what I do. Like I'll book off 2 hours in my day to train. And if somebody wants to have a meeting, no, you're not having a meeting. I have a meeting then. My meeting's with the gym, right? Like that's part of the brand. It's very important to me. So I don't even consider that free time. So my free time literally is all in with my kids. Like I love especially the ages, they're 3.5 and 6.5 now. And you know this, like they're just a ball of fun. What comes out of their mouth, you never know. And they just keep me in stitches all the time. And they're just super active boys. And they're just a lot of fun. So, you know, taking them to sports and stuff like that and just hanging out with them, like that's my free time. That's everything. I mean, at the end of the day, being successful in the business side doesn't mean anything if you can't enjoy that side of it. That's what means everything, right? So this is really kind of my side gig, and I just really enjoy spending time with them.
That's awesome. Where can people reach you if they want to reach out or, you know, buy some of your product? Where can they go?
Well, I mean, I could list a bunch of different websites here. So my personal email is doug@corenutritionals.com. That's my main email address. You can reach me there. All our websites, corenutritionals.com, mericalabz.com, mericaaenergy.com, thenutritioncorners.com, all of those. My social media handle is @DougMillerPro. So I'm most active on probably Instagram, a little bit of Facebook, but mostly Instagram. It's Doug Miller Pro, all one word. And so that's where I spend probably most of my social media time. That's probably the best place to get a hold of me.
Doug, thank you so much for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it too. It was good.
Yeah. Take care. Thank you.
Yep.